in the insurance sector. Policyholders Compensation Fund, dhamana ya bima yako.
Day of June, the year of the Lord 2023. From wherever you're watching us in Kenya and around the world, good evening. You're all in time for Prime Edition, coming to you live from Broadcasting House in the capital city, Nairobi, Kenya. Tonight, we've lined up lots of stories, both in the business sector and later on at the tail end, the sports segment, and also live in studio tonight. We have Dr. Paula Kahumbu. She's going to talk to us. Her life with elephants. And remember, today is a World Environmental Day, so we're going to ask her what she thinks about the plastics and what they've done to ensure that the animal habitat is safe for the animals. All that coming up in this live broadcast. But first things first, our top stories.
Our progress in affirming the fundamental right to decent housing is critical to the achievement of sustainable urbanization in terms of SDG number 11.
President William Ruto calls for practical solutions for sustainable urbanization and adequate housing.
So we have agreed that the National Treasury will disburse by the end of this week.
Relief, 4 counties. Government commits to disbursing funds in 2 weeks. The face-off between government and opposition over the finance bill looms in Parliament as it resumes sittings. Many thanks indeed for joining us. Our sign language interpreter tonight, Lucy Mwaura, our socials at KBC Channel 1 if you want to engage with us. My Twitter handle at Mboya24. Straight to our top story. President William Ruto is calling for practical solutions in the aspirations for sustainable urbanization and ensuring adequate housing for all. The president, who was officiating the start of a 5-day UN Habitat Assembly, reiterated the affordable housing program will be a game changer in achieving the urbanization agenda. Ruto further called for effective mobilization of states so as to achieve the global net zero emissions, avert a climate catastrophe, and also achieve sustainable development goals. That report opens our coverage tonight.
The 5-day meeting kicked off Monday, bringing together delegations from 193 member states of the UN Habitat Assembly. President William Ruto, who officially opened the assembly, noted the steady increase in urban populations was presenting a challenge as well as opportunities for national economic and urban planning and development.
A key barrier to our aspiration for sustainable urbanization happens to be the very impediment to efficient, sustainable climate action in the global South and Africa, and that is sufficient and affordable financing. As a result, we are unable to effectively pursue all the opportunities in sustainable urbanization and leverage them to promote the broader agenda of economic transformation, climate action, and sustainable development.
His sentiments echoed by the Assembly's Executive Director Maimouna Maud Sharif, who called on member states to prioritize sustainable development and advance inclusive urban recovery frameworks that empower cities to respond to urban crises and support national recovery efforts.
As you know firsthand, those of us from humble beginnings understand how adequate housing and urbanization can deliver a better quality of life.
Let us strive to reverse the trend with well-managed and planned urbanization that ensures sustainable development. Good governance dictates that our technocrats in the relevant disciplines and professions must up their acts to deliver on the promises that we made to our people. Water and sanitation services.
While remaining alive to climate change and global warming effects, President Ruto emphasized on the need for countries drawn from global north and south to work together as partners, noting that none is immune to the impact of climate change.
So long as we continue to imagine that this is going to be sorted out by aid or by assisting this country versus that country, there is no country here that is going to assist the other. The North is going to assist the South. The South is not going to assist the North. We can only work together.
In addition, the President called upon African countries to embrace and make use of green energy, noting that the continent has unexploited resources. It's the hope of the over 190 state delegations in attendance here today that by the time the 5-day conference comes to an end, that we'll have reached practical solutions in the run-up to the realization of the Urban Africa agenda. Isofar reporting for Prime Edition in the county of Nairobi.
Now, a showdown is looming in the National Assembly as legislators resume their sittings following a month-long recess. Top on the list will be the consideration of the contentious Finance Bill 2023 and the 2023-2024 budget, reading which has been a subject of debate. Azimio la Umoja coalition, in a briefing on the eve of the resumption of the House, is calling for withdrawal of the bill amid threats to shoot down the bill. This as Kenya Kwanza allied legislators have maintained that the bill is crucial in helping government meet its financial obligations.
The resumption of the National Assembly sittings on Tuesday will mark the start of a political showdown between Azimio and Kenya Kwanza legislators who have locked horns over the contents of the Finance Bill 2023. Azimio la Umoja One Kenya, in a briefing ahead of the resumption of the proceedings, are calling for the withdrawal of the bill.
Siku Alhamisi tutatoa taarifa yetu kamili. Tutaeleza Wakenya kinagaubaga msimamo wetu kwa nini sisi tunapinga hiyo mswada na ile hatua ambayo tunataka Wakenya wachukue hiyo mswada ikiletwa kule kwa vitisho na wakishurutisha bunge kupitisha hiyo mswada.
It is not possible to legislate the poor into prosperity by legislating the wealthy out of prosperity. We demand the immediate withdrawal of the Finance Bill 2023 in its entirety.
Many of the tax measures contained in the Finance Bill currently before Parliament are unreasonable and clearly directed not only at the nation but particularly at Mount Kenya businesses.
The meeting by Azimio Brigade comes barely 2 weeks after President William Ruto met Kenya Kwanza MPs ahead of the resumption of the Senate to drum up support for the bill. At the same time, Kenya Kwanza whip at the National Assembly Silvana Sosoro has defended remarks by the President on MPs who will vote against the bill.
The point of open voting was first fronted by our opponents and the minority side, and they said, Kenyans, be glued on your TVs and see the members of parliament that will vote in favor of this bill. And the president just agreed with them. They said you be glued on TV to see whether people will support. Were they threatening members of parliament and trying to, blackmail them to vote against? No. The president said, fine. I also want to see those who will oppose it, because they will have opposed the interest of the executive to create jobs for the young people. It is not blackmail. The president has no role in the National Assembly.
Osoro, who maintains that the bill will sail through owing to their numbers, is calling for calm, citing further amendments will be proposed during the third reading of the bill.
Tumeongea na watu wengi. Point ingine tuna amend in the committee of the whole house. Watu wasipanic. Lakini eventually lazima ikitu ipite, whether vile iko ama vile iko itakuwa amended.
Meanwhile, a section of leaders from the Mount Kenya region are cautioning against the profiling of youth from central Kenya as members of the outlawed Mungiki sect.
How can hustlers transform from being hustlers within a space of about 6 months into being gangsters, into being mandalas, into being Mungikis?
We shall not allow this same behavior again within Mount Kenya. Mount Kenya is not available for auction. You need to look around for something else to sell.
If talking about the youth now will put me next online, I'm ready. Our members of parliament, speak up for those youth.
There can be no doubt in your minds the reason our young people are being branded Mungeke, the reason they are being branded as drunkards is because there is some ill intent on them.
For Prime Edition, I'm Gladys Sumungai.
County governments will receive their last batch of funds disbursement in this financial year on the 19th of this month. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who held a meeting with the Council of Governors under the aegis of the Intergovernmental Budget Economic Council, IBEK, said the total outstanding balance amounts to 94.35 billion shillings. This is after disbursement of a total of 305.25 billion shillings since January, leaving arrears for the months of April, May, and June. Gachagua further said that the government will no longer borrow money to cater for counties' expenditures and urged them to enhance their internal revenue collection mechanisms.
A delay in disbursement of funds to the counties as for the last 2 months affected service delivery. However, the National Treasury has undertaken to disburse the last batch of payments this financial year. The contentious 2023-2024 finance bill continues to take shape. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who hosted a meeting at his current residence with the Intergovernmental Budget Economic Council, says an outstanding 94.35 billion shillings is set for disbursement on the 19th of this month.
We have further agreed that by 19th of June, the money owed the counties for the month of May will be disbursed. The National Treasury has given a commitment with no guarantees that we shall do whatever is possible to try to raise the money for June before the end of the financial year. But if that is not possible, the counties have been requested to bear with us.
The Kenya Kwanza administration has insisted that there will be no more borrowing for county expenditures, but would rather focus on revenue collection, even as all eyes shift attention to the 2023-2024 financial bill, which is set to be tabled in Parliament. Reporting for Prime Edition from Nairobi, my name is Frederick Mwoki.
Into the corridors of justice now, the High Court has directed that a lawsuit filed by Busia Senator Okia Omtata and 4 activists challenging the constitutionality of the Finance Bill 2023 be heard on the 19th of June 2023. Justice Hedwig Ongudi termed the suit as urgent, adding that it raises triable issues. Details of this and more in our court's news roundup.
Delivering a ruling on a suit filed by Busia Senator Okia Omtata last Friday, challenging the constitutionality of the finance bill, Justice Hedwig Ongudi did not bar the National Assembly from discussing the bill and transmitting it to President William Ruto for his assent. The judge instead directed Umtata and his co-petitioners to serve the Speaker of the National Assembly, CS Treasury, and the Attorney General with the suit papers within 3 days, and that the state officials respond within 7 days. Senator Umtata, however, says the date given by the High Court may be overtaken by events. Elsewhere, 2 men will be detained for 4 days pending completion of investigations into their threats to kill.
And he cooperated in searching and took everything that they needed for investigation. And those materials are in their custody.
Musara Kahinga Siongo and Alvin Zoma Mudhami are accused of sending threatening messages to kill a city businessman, Cheetah Baby alias CJ, and extortion over undisclosed reasons.
Have been threats to lives of the complainant, and the IO wishes to verify the information from the cybercrime unit by extraction of data. And for that reason alone, I will allow the application, but I will allow the application for only 4 days.
The magistrate reserved the ruling for Friday 9th June 2023. And the High Court has suspended the elections of Turkana County chapter of the Kenya National Chambers of Commerce and Industry over the existence of 2 lists of members. Lady Justice Josephine Mongare directed that the election be postponed until the suit filed by the outgoing chairperson Pius Ewoton and Deputy Joseph Losuru is determined. Ruth Wamboy for Prime Edition.
Do not take bribes. That's the message from Interior Cabinet Secretary to the police. All that coming up after this short break. Don't go away.
Cheza Loto Moto. Kwa majina naitwa David Irene, nimetoka Mwiki. Loto Moto ni show iko sawa, ni kitu true. So na walikanyi wote mcheze Loto Moto.
Usisahau kucheza Loto Moto. Shinda milioni 2 kila siku kwenye M-Pesa. Chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number weka 757070. Account number andika neno Loto. Weka kiwango chochote cha pesa kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi 2000. Lipa kisha subiri draw.
Huchagui familia yako, ni zawadi ya Mungu kwako kama ulivyozawadi kwao. Iwapo unakohoa, unahisi uchungu kwenye kifua, uchovu kila wakati, joto jingi mwilini, unakosa hamu ya kula au kupoteza uzito haraka bila kukusudia na kutokwa na jasho jingi usiku, waweza kuwa waugua TB. Nenda hospitalini ukapimwe. Ikibainika ya kwamba ni TB, utapewa dawa, na ukimeza vizuri ulivyoshauriwa na daktari, utapona. TB yaweza kuangamiza jamii yako. Usikubali. Matibabu ni bila malipo katika hospitali zote za serikali.
Ya jamani, ujifungia tangu jana. Mwenzako nsharu leta salamu.
Dad, you know if there's something wrong, you could just tell me.
Yes, baby girl. I'm fine.
Habari za kombo?
Hayuko madam.
Wasiwasi mwanini sasa? Naweza kuwa tajua ukweli tu. Ananipima akili.
I told you to stay away from this issue.
Pili is my best friend.
Welcome back. Remember, later on in this live broadcast, we'll be hosting Dr. Paula Kahumbu from Wildlife Direct. We'll be speaking to her about her life with the elephants. You don't want to miss that. But welcome back to this live broadcast. And we move on. Now, Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki has warned police officers against taking bribes from members of the public. Speaking in Wundanyi, that's in Taveta County, Kindiki said that his office will not condone such behavior that taints the image of the National Police Service.
While addressing a security meeting in Undanyi, Taita Taveta County, Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki sought to address the bribery menace in the police service.
And I have spoken very strongly. The culture of corruption, taking money from the public in form of bribes, that culture must come to an end.
Kindiki regretted that bribery had eroded public confidence in the police service.
Tuwe na lugha mzuri ya kudumia wananchi na tuachane na maneno ya hongo na kugandamiza mwananchi wa chini. Hiyo ndio inchi ambayo mungetaka tuwe nayo.
He, however, urged police officers to establish a good working environment with members of the public to boost service delivery.
We must be professional and develop public engagement ethics. Ndio ukiona mwananchi usione kama kitu ya bure. Huyo mwananchi kodi yake ndio imekufanya ukuwa afisa wa polisi.
Kindiki has also called on Kenyans to submit their views on how to regulate faith-based organizations to avert a repeat of the Shakahola horror.
Hiyo jopo kazi itaanza kuzunguka, imetoa ratiba yao leo. Na wataenda katika sehemu mbalimbali za Kenya. Lazima tubadilishe sheria zetu, utaratibu wetu, mipangilio yetu, ili tusikubali tena watu waovu kujificha kwa dini.
His sentiments comes as the third phase of the exhumation of bodies from Shakola Forest is expected to resume on Tuesday. Timothy Kipnusu for Prime Edition.
The government is banking on promoting entrepreneurship in waste management and enhanced enforcement so as to end the perennial garbage problem in the country. Cabinet Secretary in charge of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry, Soipan Tuya, has said promotion of the waste recycling and reuse has become a more practical approach to solid waste management. This coming as counties across the country marked World Environment Day with a call to plant more trees.
Environment, Climate Change and Forestry Cabinet Secretary Soipan Tuya led the World Environment Day celebrations in Nakuru County. The CS said that the government was working with devolved units to provide an enabling environment for investments in recycling as business ventures.
Those young people around those dump sites, we want to turn them into cooperatives. They help us sort the waste, we connect them to recyclers, and they make their money clearly, and we will put regulations in place to make sure that there is transparency so that, again, green jobs are created from the very waste that is choking our country.
Single-use plastics clog our stormwater drains, causing flooding in case of heavy downpours, degrading our environment, choking our wildlife.
A similar exercise took place in Bungoma County with over 20,000 trees planted.
Kenya is emerging as a leader in the fight against plastic pollution, not only in East Africa, but on the African continent. By expanding its efforts to green its economy, Kenya could use sustainability to power economic growth, create jobs.
This day is meant to inspire action for positive change by raising awareness about pressing environmental issues for a sustainable future, which requires both collective efforts and individual actions.
Meanwhile, the National Environment Management Authority will close markets found with huge plastic bag waste.
Watu wametusumbua sana na watu ambao tunaita kadogo economy. Kadogo economy ni kwa nini? Kadogo economy ndio umepatia sana hawa watu soko. Watu soko kwa sababu wanafunga chips, wapatia maziwa, wanafunga viazi.
In Laikipia County, environment stakeholders have called for partnerships to eradicate the plastic pollution menace.
Sisi tumekuja na solid waste management policy ambayo tunataka kuileta on board ndio tuweze kuona vile tutakuwa tuna manage hizi plastic.
Government officials in Mandera led the area residents on a tree planting exercise. Those operating in quarries were urged to be at the forefront in conserving the environment.
There is a very serious challenge. Watu wanatoa mawe na hiyo mawe yakitoa ziki they don't backfill.
The Lake Region governors have urged the national government to work closely with counties by formulating legislations to tackle climate change.
We call upon the chiefs, the village administrators,
and all of us to enforce the law very strictly and ensure that those that are planting eucalyptus along the riparian, we begin from them to actually remove those trees and help them to replace with bamboo.
In Kisii County, the manufacturing sector was identified among those generating substantial amounts of waste that pollutes the environment.
Tuwe na bin mahali ya kuweka uchafu ya ndizi, unajua hapa ndizi iko kwa wingi. Mahali ya kuweka avocado, mahali ya kuweka zile plastic za mikate na sehemu nyingine ya kuweka labda mifupa, kwa sababu hii ni vitu inaweza tumika kwa ile recycling.
In Nairobi, the Kenya Institute of Development Studies, in conjunction with Riverbanks Primary School, marked the World Environment Day by collecting plastic littered in the school compound and planting trees.
Each and every one of us must do our part in restoration of the world so that it can be a place where people can live in, contribute, and be happy.
In Mombasa County, residents living along the Indian Ocean shores at Moroto slums in Tudor have been urged to vacate the encroached land in a bid to avert disaster.
Hapa tutakuja kulaumiana siku moja. Utatokea mtetemeko wa ardhi baharini, maji yaongezeke na wale waliokule baharini huenda watafunikwa na maji.
Meanwhile, Kenya Ports Authority officials led residents in Shimoni in planting 2,000 seedlings as they marked the World Environment Day.
Every chief na assistant chief, hii imekuwa ni amri ya kwamba lazima tutaanza 3 nurseries kwa maofisi zetu.
Nancy Okware, Prime Edition.
The government says it is committed to operationalize the Public Benefits Organizations Act and will continue to support the sector. Speaking during the launch of the Non-Governmental Organizations Week, Principal Secretary of Ministry of Interior and National Administration, Dr. Raymond Omolo, however, cautioned non-governmentals against illicit financing.
As the government widens its net to try and bridge the deficit gap, the Ministry of Interior is warning non-governmental organizations that they will not be allowed to run away from paying taxes.
Again, the President is very clear that one of our key focus as a government is the need to respect the rule of law as well as our independent institutions.
The Principal Secretary in the Ministry, Raymond Omolo, says all organizations registered to operate in Kenya have a duty to augment the government's efforts by paying their fair share of taxes.
I wish to challenge you to embrace transparency in your funding sources as well as expenditure. And probably this explains why we are having challenges even in some of you filing the tax returns.
Omolo, in the meantime, is keen to have NGOs operate in a transparent regime to enable Kenyans to know their contribution to the nation's development. Omolo spoke while launching the NGO Week and the annual report, indicating that the non-state actors spent over 102 billion shillings in the last financial year.
And looking at the numbers, we are talking of excess of 12,000 NGOs. But it's interesting that barely, I doubt it gets to 30%, filed their returns in the last financial year.
The chairman of the NGO Coordination Board, Gishira Kifara, pleaded with the government to operationalize the Public Benefit Organization Act to give a clear roadmap to help streamline the act.
We want it to be operationalized so that we have a better framework for the work that we do, a modern, a robust framework within which we can carry out the development activities that we are known for as a sector.
The NGO Week is set to recognize the NGO's continued role in complementing government efforts to obtain sustainable development goals. Joan Junge for KBC Channel 1.
Now, he's been described as a bureaucrat and an administrator. He's also served as the head of public service and the secretary to the cabinet, and also a governor. This week on the cabinet, we focus on Francis Kimemia.
in Kiambu, central Kenya in 1929, Jeremiah rose through the ranks to ultimately occupy the highest position in Kenya's public administration sector as head of civil service and secretary to the cabinet while in the employment of the colonial government. Kireini and his co-rehabilitators were charged with the task of transforming the minds of detainees from anger and feelings of oppression and subjugation. However, many of these so-called rehabilitators were said to have terrorized the Mau Mau and considered traitors. Kireini would rise to the position of district commissioner in the colonial administration in 1962 and after independence continued to be promoted within the civil service, eventually becoming the provincial commissioner in charge of Eastern Region in 1963. Kireini was undoubtedly one of the most experienced administrators the newly independent nation had, and when the Permanent Secretary for Defense retired in 1970, President Jomo Kenyatta appointed him to the position. Upon becoming the country's head of state following the death of Jomo Kenyatta, President Daniel Arap Moi would appoint Kireini in 1978 as the head of civil service and secretary to the cabinet. President Moi created the position of Chief Secretary, elevating the position of Head of Civil Service to the level of Cabinet Minister. Kireini became the first holder of this position. Kireini is credited with being one of the senior government officials who, led by Police Commissioner Ben Gethi, helped to quell the August 1982 attempted coup by a number of Kenya Air Force soldiers, a factor that changed Moi's style of leadership as he ruthlessly embarked on consolidating his authority. Moi stopped consulting Kireini on such decisions as appointments and dismissal. Kireini confirmed how this frustrated him. Finally, after several unsuccessful requests, he was allowed to retire in July 1984. He died in May 2019, aged 90 years. Maria Ambo reporting for the Cabinets.
Apologies, obviously that is not Jeremiah Kireini, but that was Jeremiah Kireini, I beg your pardon, who of course in the year 1955, as Kenya approached independence, he was a young man and he was employed by the then colonial government as part of the team that constituted the team that, they were constituted rather to rehabilitate the Mau Mau detainees. We remember that this move marking the beginning of his career in the civil service that went on for 3 decades. And we have just seen that report on the cabinet shining a spotlight on Jeremiah Kireini. Would like to make that correction. We're now taking a short break. We'll be back with the day's business. Stay with us.
To get Skizatune Hail Mary, dial star 811 star 963 hash.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
To get Hail Mary, dial star 811 star 963 hash star 811 star 963 hash.
Biggest odds in the world every day on selected matches. Make a decision. Mozart Bet.
오늘 신부 잘 끼고 다 치고 가는겨. 예? 죽여.
뭐 하는 거야 지금? 신부님이 먼저 꺼냈지.
아무튼간에 나를 조져불고 싶으면 준비 잘해오쇼.
그 신부 언제 어디서 태어나서 뭐 하던 놈인지 싹 다 거둬 알았어? 어?
예, 사장님.
그럼 가.
Welcome to the day's business. I'm holding the fort for the news anchor. Kenya has launched its inaugural direct horticultural cargo flights to Israel. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mithika Linturi says the direct flights will cut travel time for fresh produce to Israel and some parts of Europe as Kenya diversifies to new markets.
The exports of horticultural products in 2022 decreased 8.1% to 152.3 billion shillings from 165.6 billion shillings in 2021. The decline was partly due to high inflation in Europe, a key market for Kenya's cut flowers, fruits and vegetables. Kenya has been seeking new markets for horticulture produce.
We agreed that the impediments and the hurdles that have been on the way that limit the export of our tea, our coffee, our avocados, pineapples, as I have said, will now be removed so that we can expand trade and exports both ways to Israel and...
Kenya is seeking to explore the Middle East market through direct horticulture cargo flights to Israel.
We are opening a market that ordinarily has not been opened for the longest. It's a good step towards growing access of our products to other markets.
Today's inaugural direct cargo flight saw Kenya export fresh raw pineapples to Tel Aviv.
Any produce going to the EU market is also acceptable in Israel. That is how, that's what we were doing. And for that matter, I think that answer should be able to set through your question.
The direct flight will be done on demand and is expected to reduce flight time from 24 hours to 5 hours.
Enable our perishables to arrive fresh and of the highest quality compared to when this same commodities were moving via Addis Ababa, Istanbul and Dubai. And this is something that was also causing a bit of a problem with the quality of the Kenyan pineapples when they arrived in
Daily visit, we have 25.6 tons of pineapples going to Israel. We have fish going to Israel. We have 6 MOUs and a discussion. And when we had that meeting with Netanyahu.
Plans are also on to resume Mira exports to Tel Aviv, with the government in talks with different airlines. Kenyan exports to Israel amounted to 979 million shillings in 2022. While imports were worth 6.8 billion shillings. Benson Droba reporting for Prime Edition.
You could reduce, by the way, the cost of construction by up to 30% and contribute to conserving the environment if you opt for interlocking bricks to construct your house as opposed to the normal bricks. This innovation has been hailed by the State Department of Housing and Urban Development that is challenging the youth to come up with more affordable housing solutions. Trevor Ngendo reports.
Rapid population growth and urbanization has seen the country face a housing deficit of about 200,000 housing units annually. At the ongoing United Nations Habitat Assembly in Nairobi, various exhibitors are showcasing their innovations. Among them is this group comprising of individuals from Kibra, keen on providing income-generating solutions to assist families that benefit from the affordable housing through knitting of baskets.
They are required to pay 10% of the price for them to be given the social houses, and sometimes it is a challenge to them to raise the 10%. So we decided to come up with a program that can empower them economically. They have been trained on how to make the baskets, how to make the shaggy mats and shoes also, and they are using the recycled paper.
Hydraform, a South African firm who are exhibiting the M9 machine, says the cost of construction would reduce by 30% if contractors embrace the use of interlocking bricks to construct houses, since it eliminates the plastering and use of timber, which in turn conserves the environment.
It interlocks in the 4 directions. So by that interlocking pattern, it means that when you're doing your walling, you are not limited on the number of courses to be done in a day.
That way, that means 70% of your structure will have no cement in it, no mortar joints. So that means roughly you're saving about 30% on your construction costs. So definitely way better and way more efficient.
The right to adequate housing is a fundamental human right, and it is thus essential for families to have access to safe and affordable housing options. And exhibitors at the UN Habitat Assembly hope that by adoption of some of their housing options, then they will provide a solution to this global challenge. Trevor Ngendo for Prime Edition at the UN headquarters, Nairobi.
Sheep, goat and camel milk will now be recognized if Kenya's parliament approved the Dairy Industry Bill 2023 that seeks to overhaul this subsector. The Kenya Dairy Board says that the proposed law will also enhance quality as well as safety compliance of milk and milk products by setting out strict hygiene standards for milk processors right across the country.
Despite Kenya having one of the most developed dairy subsectors in Africa, the growth of the industry has been hampered by outmoded regulations. The dairy subsector is estimated at 14% of agricultural GDP, while per capita milk consumption stands at 110 liters, the highest in sub-Saharan Africa. The sector is expected to register more growth going forward once camel, sheep and goat milk is recognized by law.
We need to grow and rally oil farmers to be able to produce more, and of course the most important thing is to produce quality milk. How are we handling milk from the farm level to the consumer?
Kenya Dairy Managing Board Director Dr. Margaret Kibogi says the move will help the country realign its current regulations with global international standards for agricultural trade. Stakeholders say revising the current laws will help improve the productivity and competitiveness of dairy products, not just in Kenya, but in the region.
There was need to review the dairy bill so that it can match with the laws or the trends that have changed. For example, the new constitution, the Constitution 2020, the technological changes, all those aspects in terms of trade, and so that we can align it with issues that are current within the dairy sector.
The proposed bill also aims to boost farmers' profits by providing them with the proper milk handling technologies that will help in reduction of post-harvest losses, while at the same time addressing microbiological contamination of milk.
We've been able to really promote the aggregation, bulking and chilling through making sure we construct milk chilling and bulking facilities. Right now we've been able to do 11 of them across the county, and we've been able to equip with milk coolers through the county government kitty.
The proposed bill comes at a time when the government plans to drive industrialization through the Dairy Master Plan 2030. Ndusha Mokami for Prime Edition.
Well, that does it for the day's business. Remember, earlier on I promised that we would have Dr. Paula Kahumbu from Wildlife Direct here in studio. Today the world is celebrating the World Environmental Day, but you can see on your screens there it is, Dr. Paula Kahumbu, My Life with the Elephants, and the hashtag there, World Environment Day. There we are. Well, many thanks indeed for finding time to come and talk to us.
You're most welcome. Such an honor to be here.
Yes. Let's start off that hashtag World Environment Day, and the theme this year is the ecosystem restoration. And before we get into the interview proper, I just want to get your thoughts on, is plastic pollution a threat to the wildlife against the backdrop of what we are celebrating today, the World Environment Day?
Absolutely. You know, plastics enter into the environment and they will remain there for thousands of years. It's not like so many other things. You can throw out your shoe made of leather or your shirt made of cotton. It will biodegrade within a month or 2 months. But imagine all the plastic that you've thrown out in your lifetime is going to be there for 2,000 generations. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. So it's just accumulating and accumulating, and it's clogging systems. I'll just give you a very simple, analysis. For example, plastic bags, plastic bottles, they're entering into our rivers, they're floating down, they're blocking the waterways, but they're also collecting small pools of water in which mosquitoes are breeding. And so you're expecting to see malaria will also increase across many of our landscapes. All of this plastic is accumulating in rivers, in our lakes. So you can imagine now at the bottom of our lakes is just a mass.
It's just a mass.
Plastic, yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's get into the conversation now proper. I'm interested in knowing how you became the conservationist that you are today.
Oh, that's a surprise question.
What's the backstory?
That's a surprise question, but it's a great question because there are so many young people ask me, how did I get into conservation? I was very lucky as a child. I had a neighbor who was Richard Leakey, who knew a lot about nature, and I was a curious kid. I have 4 brothers and 4 sisters, and we were always thrown outside. Doors were locked. We were told, go explore. And we took it seriously, and we would go around and we would look under stones, climb trees, swim in the rivers. In those days, it was very safe to do that in Nairobi.
Yeah.
I wouldn't let a small child out to do those things today, but we were very lucky that our neighbor Richard Leakey was also, he observed us and he would invite us to ask questions and tell us about these animals. Because if you're interested in insects, let's say, but nobody around you knows the names of those insects or why those insects are there, what they do, where they live, it's very hard to really develop your curiosity and your interest in that animal. I think mentoring and mentorship is very, very important. And so Richard Leakey helped me to really, feel like I had a license to keep exploring, keep looking at things, keep asking questions. So that's what we do with children today. My organization, Wildlife Direct, we have the first African wildlife conservation area for children, only for children. It's free for children. And they come to us and they spend a day learning about nature with scientists, experts, botanists, rangers, and they are allowed to explore, touch, smell, and learn in a natural way, not in a classroom. They learn by experiencing nature, by studying things for themselves, discovering things for themselves. And they are being mentored in a way that I think is extremely important, because there's one thing in the world, there's only one thing in the whole world, I think, which can repair itself, is nature.
Is nature.
We're talking about World Environment Day and restoration. Why? Because we've damaged so much. But we know that nature also has this incredible ability to repair itself. But if we don't understand nature, we'll keep damaging it until it's broken and cannot be repaired.
I like that part of where your focus is on the children, because we also know that their brains develop in the early stages of their life. But just tell me about, because you've worked with a lot of animals.
Yes.
But why particularly the elephant?
Well, elephants are incredible, such iconic animals. There's more research has been done on elephants than any other species on this continent. And yet, we actually know very little about them. Why? Because elephants are very intelligent. They have an ability to think, plan, communicate. They socialize in a way that's very unique, very much like humans actually. And they use their landscapes in ways that, this is why they're so difficult to manage, because elephants are so smart. They're constantly outsmarting us. So elephants are one of those species that no matter where you are, if there are elephants near you and you start studying them, you will find something unique about them, because there is still so much more to learn. Their brains are bigger than ours by many times, and they're more complex than ours. So they're always going to keep surprising us.
They mourn when they lose their loved ones.
They mourn when they lose their loved ones. They make plans. They have culture. They train their youngsters. They think, they feel. They are a species which I think is underappreciated, because we tend to look at them as these big animals which are just roaming around and destroying things. That's how a lot of people see them. When in fact, they're one of the most beloved species on Earth. One of the most beloved. And if we can make peace with elephants, we can create a lot of jobs.
Okay.
We can create a lot of income for our country, and we can also rehabilitate nature. Do you know the one animal that plays the biggest role in the restoration of nature is elephants?
Is elephants.
They eat 150 kilograms of food each per day, which includes seeds and fruits.
Okay.
And they plant it as they go along.
As they go along. But they also do have tasks. And I remember in 1989, the then president, Daniel Moi, burning the largest pile, they say, of ivory ever. And I remember it because it was a Saturday and I was preparing to go somewhere. How did that act of burning those tasks help in shaping global policy around the exports of ivory?
I think that was the most important moment in time for elephants, was Kenya's principled stand to destroy ivory instead of joining countries that were saying, let's sell the ivory. Let's sell it now while we can. That's what some countries were saying. You know, there are three things that motivate people. One is profit, making money, and not losing money. Another one is ego, like having nice things that impress your friends. And the third one is your faith or your belief system. The reason why people were killing elephants was for money, for profit. But the reason why people are buying ivory in Asia, the Chinese, the Japanese, why they were buying so much ivory is because of prestige. Having ivory was a mark of wealth. So if you have ivory and your friend doesn't have ivory, they'll be coveting your ivory. They'll be so jealous of you. That was why it was happening. So imagine if we could make ivory something so despicable. If you are wearing ivory, it means you're a murderer. It means you're one of those people killing elephants. So now everybody who had ivory, even old ivory given to them as gifts in the past or whatever, they were being told, don't you know that this has blood? It's blood on your hands now. And that's why it worked, because they shamed people who had ivory or wanted ivory, and also made it very difficult for anybody to make money, to profit from ivory, because criminals are being caught and being thrown inside, their properties and assets are being seized. So that, I think, has really made a big difference, and it led to a completely new relationship with elephants. Our value system shifted dramatically because we know so much more about elephants. People care about elephants as beings now, not just as an animal. In Kenya, in Amboseli, every single elephant has a name.
Has a name.
And that name tells you which family they came from, who the mother is, who the sisters and brothers are. In a way, it's like a soap opera unfolding in front of you.
But tell me, because I ask this because there's this wider debate around whether banning of those tasks actually effective. Is there a link? Because there are those folks who are arguing that there is no link at all. There is no, concrete proof that destroying the supply actually leads to a drop in the demand of the ivory.
The evidence is very clear. There are people who will always say that because they want to sell ivory, but the evidence is very clear. The price of ivory collapsed. The price of ivory will only go down if the demand goes down.
If the demand goes down. I ask that because there's very disturbing evidence, especially if you go online. I mean, you can see that even within the legal frameworks that are put in place to slow down the sale of ivory, but you're just seeing an uptick. The scope and scale of that trade is still up.
Well, the truth is no. When in 2008, there was a one-off sale of ivory to China. And that sale of ivory was done by 4 African countries. That sale of ivory to China, as you can imagine, a country of 1.7 billion people, meant that the demand was massive. Because Chinese people have a little bit of money, and having ivory is very prestigious. So many people wanted ivory. The price of ivory went from about $100 to over $3,000. So you can imagine what happened. So ivory was being sucked out of Africa. Every country that had elephants was in trouble. Today, the price of ivory is way down, way down. China has banned ivory. The government of China recognized that legalization of ivory within their country led to catastrophic destruction of elephants in Africa. And so they've banned it. They've banned it. I mean, China hardly has any elephants left. They've already destroyed their own elephants.
Although they believe that, a sizable number of the Chinese people believe that, it came with good luck having the ivory as an ornament.
That's partly why there was so much demand for ivory, because they have many beliefs behind it.
All right. Alvin Kaunda is a colleague of mine here, and we all saw him doing a report, a piece to camera, and there was a beautiful elephant in the background that was playing with him, so to speak. What I'm interested in knowing from you is what is the most exciting moment for you? You've worked with these animals for long. Which moment stands out,
right,
for you? We saw Alvin's. How about you?
Well, I can see him over here. Alvin is one of the most exciting young people in this country when it comes to reporting on wildlife. I'm so excited that there are more and more young people who want to tell stories about nature and listen to our communities and inform people, and so that we care about nature. And that particular story with the elephants is so moving and so touching that it's been shared millions and millions of times. It's really, really incredible.
Yeah, we got a clip of that. You just showed a snippet of the elephant.
In the last year, I've been working with National Geographic, and we've been filming elephants across the African continent and Asia for a series called Secrets of the Elephants. For me, the opportunity to go into the desert of Namibia and meet desert-adapted elephants which live in a habitat that is so extreme. You can't even imagine humans living there, but there are elephants living in those deserts, in the valleys, these mountainous valleys, extremely hot and very dry. And then going to Congo, into the rainforest, and seeing another species of elephant. Did you know that we have 2 species of elephants in Africa?
In Congo?
Yes, we have a species of elephants called forest elephants. They separated from the savanna elephants about 3 million years ago. They look different, they are round, their ears are huge, their tusks are thin and long, and they just come straight down. And these elephants, they look totally different. They're actually in my book. So
and that's what we're expecting as we wander, the secrets. Do you want to tell us something about that?
So this is the book that goes with the series, which is on National Geographic and Disney. And we are going to be premiering it on the 30th of June at the Wild Screen Festival at the Alliance Francaise. And this book is available actually at Bookstop. So if you want to get it, you can get it there or on Amazon. But in this book, we talk about the 4 different kinds of elephants. Asian elephants is one species. Africa has forest elephant, which is a different species, Loxodonta cyclotis, and Loxodonta africana, the savanna elephant. But we also have the desert-adapted elephant. It is not a different species, but it's a very unique type of elephant which only lives in the desert. So it's really incredible that elephants have survived so many threats and pressures. Not just the ivory trade, human-elephant conflict, habitats, climate change, all kinds of things. And elephants have done so well as a species.
All right, your overarching message as we come to the end of this interview.
My overarching message
as we come to the I know the 30th, we have that at the Alliance Francaise.
My overarching message is that as Kenyans, we're so blessed to have so much biodiversity, and I'm talking about now everything: elephants, lions, the trees, the fish in our oceans and the coral reefs. All of this biodiversity is very unique. Kenya is in a very unusual place with a rift valley cutting right through the middle of our country, the oceans, the deserts in the north, the rainforests in the west. We're a very unique country, and we take it for granted as citizens. My overarching message, my plea to every Kenyan: come to our national parks. Come and experience these amazing places. If you're in the city of Nairobi, your first safari should be Nairobi National Park. Today there are so many lion cubs. There are several cheetahs and cheetah cubs. So many rhinos. I just was there this weekend. It's so beautiful. As Kenyans, there's no excuse. We should be the first champions and supporters of our national parks.
All right. I think we need more time to discuss this, isn't it? But I want to thank you so much.
Let's do it in the park next time.
Oh, yeah, why not? And also on the 30th at the Alliance.
Yes,
you want people to come there. All right, so I've got to let her go. The sports anchor is on standby. But we want to thank you so much for finding time to come and be with us. Do you want to wave to them?
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you for doing it differently.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Well, we're taking a short break. We'll be back with a look at the day sports. Don't go away.
The Policyholders Compensation Fund notifies the general public that it is currently compensating policyholders and beneficiaries of Standard Assurance Company and Resolution Insurance Company. All claimants are required to download the claims form from PCF website www.pcf.go.ke or collect physical forms from PCF offices, KWFT Center, 6th floor, Masaba Road, Upper Hill. Fill the form in duplicate and attach copies of the required documents. Submit to PCF KCF offices for verification and processing in line with the fund's compensation guidelines and procedures. The maximum compensation payable by the fund on any one claim lodged by a claimant is 250,000 Kenya shillings. Policyholders Compensation Fund, dhamana ya bima yako.
Cheza Loto Moto.
Kwa majina naitwa Nick Wenwa, yangu ni Ngong. Loto nimekuwa nikicheza sasa ni miezi 3, mwakisha at least kwa siku kucheza kama mara 2 hivi. Kwa hivyo unaweza wasihi mzidi kucheza na muendelee kucheza hilo Loto Moto. Watu wanashinda.
Usisahau kucheza Loto Moto. Shinda milioni 2 kila siku kwenye M-Pesa. Chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number weka 757070. Account number andika neno Loto. Weka kiwango chochote cha pesa kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi 2000. Lipa kisha subiri draw.
Iwapo unakohoa, unahisi uchungu kwenye kifua, uchovu kila wakati, joto jingi mwilini, unakosa hamu ya kula au kupoteza uzito haraka bila kukusudia na kutokwa na jasho jingi usiku, waweza kuwa waugua TB.
What if he's not really dead?
I'd be very shocked to see his greedy brothers.
I'm not dead, Alice. You are to me. Do you think Dad had a will?
Of course he did.
TB yaweza kuangamiza jamii yako. Usikubali. Matibabu ni bila malipo katika hospitali zote za serikali.
Aviator instant game. Be a daring pilot and earn by how much high you can lift the plane. The higher you fly, the higher your win. The sky is the limit. Mozart Bet.
Are you a holder of unclaimed financial assets? Surrender unclaimed financial assets today and avoid the last-minute rush. Take advantage of penalties and fines waiver ending June 30th, 2023. Report and surrender unclaimed financial assets today. For more information, visit our website www.ufaa.go.ke/holders or contact us through holders@ufaa.go.ke or call us on 020-402-3000. Do not wait for the June 30th, 2023 deadline. Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. Receive, safeguard, reunite.
Welcome to East Africa. This is Safari Rally Kenya.
The WRC Safari Rally is set for June 22nd to June 25th in Naivasha. This year's event, the 7th leg of the WRC calendar, consisting of 19 stages, will see drivers, among them defending champion and series leader Khalid Vampera, battle in what's considered as the toughest rally in the world. KBC Channel 1 will bring you the action to your living room, where a total of only 5 stages will be broadcast live on KBC Channel 1 and the Shakedown exclusive on our Facebook page. Catch the WRC Safari Rally on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Welcome to KBC Prime Edition. It's now time for us to talk sports. My name is Karen Kibet. CFAO Motors has pumped 32 million shillings into this year's WRC Rally Kenya, set to take place from the 22nd of this month. This is the 3rd consecutive year the company supports Rally Kenya, which is the 7th leg of the 13-leg series.
With the completion of Rally Italia Sardinia, drivers are set for another grueling challenge, this time in Africa. The Rally Kenya set to begin on the 22nd of this month. As part of SFAO Motors' 32 million shillings sponsorship to the 2023 WRC Rally Kenya, the company will provide 2 Hilux pickups to serve as safety route openers.
We here seek to enhance our Gazoo Racing brand, which represents the relentless pursuit of pushing limits and achieving excellence. Through our participation in the WRC, we showcase performance and capabilities of the Toyota vehicles, positioning ourselves as the market leaders in this country.
The 2023 WRC Rally Kenya will be marking the 70th anniversary and will start at Uhuru Park and head to Naivasha.
In 2019, we had more than 20 experts with us. This year, in 2023, we have 2 experts. We have developed capacity using our own people to take over the management of the rally.
The government is the lead sponsor for the rally and is committed to ensuring the event's success.
We are an administration that recognizes the value of inclusivity and the value of having all hands on deck. And that is why we are very pleased with the kind of partnership that has come together to deliver the WRC Safari Rally 2023.
This year's event will focus on encouraging more women to participate in the rally, with the government sponsoring 3 women in the WRC Rally Kenya.
Thank you, Buckley, for that report. Moving on, newly appointed Twinkle Hockey Club head coach Frederick Masibo feels no pressure despite joining midway through the season. Masibo, who was unveiled today in Nairobi, has signed a 2-year contract with the club.
Former Kenyan international Frederick Masibo has been named head coach of Twinkle Women's Hockey Club, taking charge after Western Jaguars midfielder Emmanuel Wiswa, who was named interim coach last week. Masibo, who has coached former champions Kenya Police, will take over the reins from Charity Miller, who stepped down on Wednesday last week after citing work commitments.
We are delighted to announce him as our new head coach at Twinkle Hockey Club. After a long, such extensive, thorough interview process, we were able to get Coach Masibo to come in as our new head coach.
I'll have to start from where the team has been. Lazima niangalie wachezaji kutoka hapa, lazima nikutane na wachezaji, nijue niko na idadi ngapi ya wachezaji.
At the club's helm,
ile naleta mezani ni ushindi.
At the club's helm,
ile naleta mezani ni ushindi na kukuza talanta ya hockey na kuwajenga wale wachezaji wa wachezaji bora katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Ombi langu ni ku make sure at least 1 or 2 players waweze kuwakilisha nchi yetu katika michezo ya usoni.
Masibo will meet officials and is playing unit before they play JKUAT on Sunday in their next fixture.
AC Milan's Zlatan Ibrahimovic has retired from football at the age of 41, bringing to an end one of the modern era's most glittering careers.
Zlatan Ibrahimovic scored 511 goals for clubs including Paris Saint-Germain, Manchester United and both AC and Inter Milan, winning league titles in 4 countries, and has now retired from football. Ibrahimovic began his second spell with AC Milan in early 2020, having won the Scudetto with them in 2011 and helped them win the title again last season. Ibrahimovic won 34 trophies, including 14 league titles, in a career that began in the last century, and was nominated by the Ballon d'Or 11 times. The one major club trophy that eluded him was the Champions League, with his only European title coming with Manchester United in the shape of the 2017 Europa League. The striker also retires as Sweden's all-time top scorer with 62 international goals in 122 matches. He quit the national side after Euro 2016 but returned in 2021 for the unsuccessful World Cup qualifying campaign.
Happy retirement to Zlatan. And that report brings us to the end of the sports news tonight. I'll definitely see you tomorrow, same time, same place, with more sports news. My name is Karen Kibet. Do have yourself a peaceful night. Right after this short break, my colleague Mboya will be back with more. Don't go too far.
the cup with the golden ticket. Mozart Bet Cup, 2 million shillings. CAF Confederations Cup. Kuwa mshindi. Mozart Bet Cup.
Well, that brings it to the end of this live broadcast. I want to thank you all on behalf of the Prime Edition team for watching. Tomorrow, we will be back again same time. My name is Mboya. Good night and God bless you. See you tomorrow.
Welcome to East Africa. This is Safari Rally Kenya.
The WRC Safari Rally is set for June 22nd to June 25th in Naivasha. This year's event, the 7th leg of the WRC calendar, consisting of 19 stages, will see drivers, among them defending champion and series leader Khalid Vanpera, battle in what's considered as the toughest rally in the world. KBC Channel 1 will bring you the action to your living room, where a total of only 5 stages will be broadcast live on KBC Channel 1 and the Shakedown exclusive on our Facebook page. Catch the WRC Safari Rally on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Cheza Loto Moto.
Naitwa Rose Oginga, natoka Githurai 45. Mimi ni mwanabiashara. Leo hii niko Loto Moto na mimi ndiye mshindi wa 100,000. Watu wangu wa Githurai, hata Nairobi mzima, leo hii mimi ni mshindi. Naomba zaidi mcheze, mnaweza kuwa mshindi kama mimi. Leo hii mimi na pesa.
Usisahau kucheza Loto Moto. Shinda milioni 2 kila siku kwenye M-Pesa. Chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number, weka 757070. Account number, andika neno Loto. Weka kiwango chochote cha pesa kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi 2,000. Lipa, kisha subiri draw.
Ya jamani, ujifungia tangu jana. Mwenzako nsharu leta salamu.
Dad, you know if there's something wrong, you could just tell me.
Yes, baby girl. I'm fine.
Habari za kombi?
Hayuko madam.
Wasiwasi wa nini sasa? Naweza kuwa tajua ukweli tu. Ananipima akili.
I told you to stay away from this issue.
Pili is my best friend.
Why are you here?
Your dad called me. But the truth is that I'm really hoping I can win you over again.
Reynaldo, I told you to stop. How can you disrespect a woman like this?
Reynaldo, what is happening here?
No, I have to speak with Amparo.
No, you are never going to speak to Miss Amparo. What is it?
Isn't that the woman who Milena says is the lover of her father? Why is she here with Alonso? Not sure. I learned that you can expect anything from this wine.
But you haven't told me why you said that you would come with me.
I want you to tell me why you're here with this jerk.
Las Malditas.